So now we get to add the color. So I'm going to start at the top and work my way down. And for this first part, we're just going to be tacking the wool on here lightly with a few pokes of the needle, just to hold it in place. So I'm going to start by creating a little spiral at the top here, just to cover this top section. And just secure it in place. I'm not going to felt over the whole area here, just a few little lines down just to keep everything secure. So now I'm going to take this end of my yarn and turn it around like that so it's not going to cross over the back here, and secure it in place there. Wrap it around to the other side and turn it back around again, secure it in place there. And we're just going to keep doing this back and forth all the way down. So once you get to the bottom here, we're going to stop going back and forth, and I'm going to tack the wool in place just in the creases on both sides, just so it stays put there for now. And now I'm going to take the yarn and wrap it all the way around the bottom here in a spiral, moving into the center like we did at the top. And I'm just going to lightly tack the wool in place with just a few pokes of the needle as I go along. So now that our packer is entirely covered with the colorful wool, we're just gonna go over the whole thing and felt that wool securely to the base form. So what I like to do is I like to run my needle along the center there in a line, and then I like to go and secure it into the creases. And then after that, I'm going to switch to my needle holder that holds several needles, and go over the whole thing. So now we've got the wool all securely felted to the packer here, but you can see in that process, it's created some little gaps where the base form is peeking through the color there. So we're just gonna take some little scraps of wool here and patch up those gaps. So now we're going to make the felt tabs to attach the packer to the underwear. What I've done here is I've just cut two little rectangles out of felt. I'm gonna layer them on top of each other here. And then I'm just gonna round the corners on one side of it. So after the corners are rounded, I'm going to cut two slits in the felt about halfway up. So you want to leave some space for the tab at the top that's not going to be cut, and you want the scissors to go just up to where the base of the tab is. So now we have the two slits cut, and this part here can actually be shorter. You only need that to be about like a ½ inch or less. Doesn't have to be very long. So I'm just going to trim that down a little bit. And now what I'm going to do is cover these felt tabs with some colorful wool. Lovely. So now that we have some colorful wool coloring these tabs here, we're going to attach them to the packer. So you want to pull apart the two different sides of the colorful wool here and move the center flap in the middle to one side and the outer ones to the other side, so it looks like this. And then you're gonna put this onto the packer in the place where you think it should be. It's best to have it kind of close to the front of the packer here so that it is able to be safety pinned to the underwear, which is gonna fall across this part here. So once you have them in place where you want them to be, you're going to take your needle and run it along the top crease, just at the base of the tab, just to hold it in place. And you're going to do that on both sides. Lovely. Now that they're both tacked on in place fairly lightly, you're going to pull the colorful wool back here to reveal these little tabs that we made, and you just want to secure them to the packer. And after they're secured to the packer, you can lay down one side of colorful wool and then lay that down the other side on top of it. And then you're gonna felt that colorful wool in place to cover up the felt from the tabs underneath. So now that the front is all secure here, we're just going to do the same thing on the sides where we pull back the colorful wool and secure these flaps to the packer. And once the flaps are in place, we're going to fold the colorful wool back down and felt it onto the packer to cover up that those flaps there. So once your tabs are securely in place, then you can go over and do any touch-ups that you feel like you need to do. I'm gonna tighten up these creases a bit here, and then you are done with the felting. So to make the fabric back for the packer, the first thing you want to do is lay your fabric out, and then you want to position the packer on the fabric in a place that you like the design of, that you want to show up on the packer. And then you're just going to cut around the whole thing, making sure to leave at least about a 1/2 inch of fabric sticking out from the edge of the packer. Now take your packer and lay the fabric over the back of the packer and hold it on the top, and then pull it down pretty securely and hold it on the bottom too. And you're just gonna put a pin at the top, and then a pin at the bottom. And make sure that it's not pinching or gathering in the middle here. You want it to be flat against the felting there. And then you're just gonna add pins all around the side, making sure that you're pulling the fabric pretty tight. You want it to be flat and tight against the fabric, so that it doesn't move around or wiggle when you rub your finger against it. Lovely. So once it's in place, we are going to pick any point. I like to start at the bottom and kind of work my way around. And we're just gonna fold the fabric in and then repin it. So now that the fabric has been pinned all the way around the packer, we're gonna sew it in place. So you're gonna need a needle and thread and some scissors. And when you're sewing, try to get a little bit of the felting with the needle, and then just come back up into the fabric. So down into the felt, and then back up into the fabric. So the way I like to tie off the knot at the end is slip my needle underneath a stitch that I've already made. And pull it through so that there's a loop of thread, and then put the needle through that loop of thread and pull it tight. And you just want to do that a few more times. Tucking the needle under the same stitch that we did before. Then pulling it so you have a little loop here, putting the needle through that loop, and pulling it tight. And I like to do that 3 or 4 times. And once your knot is made, you want to stick the needle into the packer directly where you made the knot and just stick it through to a point somewhere else along the packer and pull it all the way through nice and tight. And then you can trim the thread. And there you have it. A finished needle felted packer with fabric on the back to prevent itchiness and these tabs so you can safety pin the packer to your underwear so it doesn't move around throughout the day or fall down your pant leg.